Every year, Virgin Atlantic serve 10 million meals in the air, and their global network of world-class clubhouses serve 500,000 more on the ground. For the last 10 years, I've been travelling the world working as a TV host and food writer. 12 months ago, Virgin Atlantic came to me with a big challenge: to help them be the airline that doesn't serve airline food. But it's not just a case of writing some fancy recipes.
It's definitely not easy. If it was easy, I think other people would be doing it already.
We have certain restrictions on board that we don't have in normal household kitchens.
The airline industry is a challenging place for foodies.
It's a totally different world. It's a huge challenge.
365 days later, numerous transatlantic flights and countless hours of research and recipe development, it's crunch time. I'm landing in London, non-stop from LA, and I've got 72 hours to test, taste and tweak the menus for economy, premium, upper class, and get the sign-off for Clubhouse menus around the world. I have just got off a 10-hour flight from LAX, and we have 72 hours now to bring everything we've been working on for the last 12 months to fruition. The interesting thing as part of this project is to try and experience all the different aspects of what Virgin Atlantic serves up. I feel like the challenge for us is to try and create a promise of food that is so different from other airlines that you become the airline that doesn't serve airline food. So right now we are on our way to Gatwick to Gate Gourmet. We're there to meet Chef Rupert, who looks after the upper class and the premium dishes on board. This is the first time we're actually getting to taste the food and really make sure that everything is in line with what we've been planning.
Okay.
So this is the caramel salmon. I think it's great to see it being served up like this, because this is essentially what anyone on the flight has to put up.
They'll have one spoon just like me, and they've got to try and make it look perfect.
Rupert is serving the dishes just as they will appear in the air, because serving food on an airplane is very different to serving it on the ground. I think the colour of this looks great as well.
And it's still very much within our parameters. We have to keep it fairly simple. We have to keep the movements to a minimum. We have to make sure the product will reheat accurately, that won't spoil when it's in the ovens, and that it can be put together very simply and look like it should on the ground.
We've obviously picked up the recipes, interpreted them in the way that we think they'd work on board. So yeah, it was really interesting, quite exciting to see how Donal reacted to them today. Obviously a little bit nervous about it, because we want to make sure we're delivering what his vision is as well. Your
recipes work really well because we've got a lot of punchy flavours, we've got a lot of fresh flavours, we've got a lot of spice involved in a lot of these dishes. Your senses are slightly dulled up in the air as you get to altitude, so making sure that we use that to our advantage and not have anything that's delicate on the ground and might be lost up in the air is very important.
Despite the challenges of serving food in the air, Rupert's interpretation of my dishes is spot on. There's just a few things I think we can improve on. As a composition, it works really well. I think the coriander is a lovely finish. It's the sauce, because that's what's bringing everything together.
I think it's been a really informative session. We've got some clear changes that we do have to make, and I think between us we're gonna get to exactly where we want to be fairly easily and fairly quickly.
We're in a really good place. There's a few minor tweaks we need to make on some of those dishes, and that's what we're going to work on really hard for the next week, just to nail it. Economy is ultimately where this battle on traditional airline food is going to be won or lost. This morning, I'm getting a first glimpse at whether my recipes can breathe new life into the dreaded foil-lined tray that plagues the entire industry.
We are producing around 37 million meals in a year. It's around 100,000 per day. The biggest challenge what we have is we don't cook here with pans and pots. We are cooking here with huge utensils or huge machines. So it's a totally different world.
I think the biggest thing we're coming across is what I have in my head versus the constraints that the team know so well. The food tastes great, but it's how it's presented that I think we're trying to find a different way, or a way to find that more appealing. Each meal has to work in this tiny little environment. So there's a lot of constraints beyond food just tasting good. I think it's bridging the gap between the flavor that you can achieve at home versus what you have to work with here and in air. What would be the possibility of looking at like having this slightly presented differently, in that you would have the vegetables mixed through the tomato sauce with the gnocchi? Like, I feel from tasting it that there's the opportunity to kind of look at how we could build the dish. Can we go into the kitchen and just have a look at?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. And so you start with the cheese sauce in here.
This is starch, yeah, a modified starch, You're happy with it?
I mean, this is, to be able to see this is probably the most interesting aspect of coming here, because I can see how you guys are thinking about it. Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think the finish on this was gorgeous and it really ate well.
Excellent.
Okay, great.
Great.
So today we've just gone through all the dishes we've been preparing for a very long time on paper, and it's been an absolutely brilliant experience to be able to taste them and to know where we're at with them and what work needs to be done. The Clubhouses are Virgin's global network of upper-class lounges, and they're renowned for serving amazing food by some incredible chefs. They set the standard for Virgin's foodie credentials, and with the final tasting tomorrow, I want to go through some last-minute tweaks with Clubhouse London's head chef, Babu. This is the parsley cream cod, right?
Yeah, parsley cream cod.
Okay, this is like the restaurant version.
It's restaurant version.
Okay, cool.
The garlic, just to take the raw flavor of it.
Yeah.
So we'll add white wine. So, splash of it. Season up, a bit of sea salt, a bit of olive oil. Okay.
You're really starting to get the smell of the cream and the wine and those sort of fresh flavors. Yeah. I'm getting hungry already. It's great. What about a touch of the extra virgin olive oil just as a finishing garnish? I think that would be nice.
Touch of sea salt.
Yes, always sea salt. That's exactly where we need it to be. I feel like we're in business. That's great.
Good.
Really great.
Good, thank you very much.
My pal Eric Landlord, a master patissier, has created innovative mile-high tea creations for some of Virgin Atlantic's clubhouses around the world and all cabins on board.
I wanted something, when you walk in and you see somebody having it and you go, what are they having? So it needed to look cool, different, and of course, Instagram, social media for people to share, and the press and everybody love it. This is the afternoon tea.
Goodness, thank you very much. Virgin Atlantic was founded as a challenger brand, so Eric's the perfect fit to challenge the norm and create something unique. I mean, I think what's most amazing is just how eye-catching it is. There's pipettes and there's tubes and all sorts of things.
Yeah, it's making it interactive. It's just exciting, and it's something quite good to pour a salted caramel sauce on that lovely brownie. And
obviously there's a lot of constraints in terms of what you can and can't do for airline food. So how did you even approach that?
It took a lot of eating.
Right.
And testing. And I discovered my new mot du jour, or sentence du jour, was why not?
Why not? Okay.
Why not?
Can we try some? It's the last day, and I'm meeting the team at the Clubhouse for final tasting and sign off on the menu.
Fantastic. Potatoes, asparagus, courgette, zucchini.
Beautiful.
Donal's style really fits with us. It's homely, it's warm, it's genuine cooking, so it's great ingredients, delivered really nicely.
It's lovely. Really lovely. I think my little touches last night, that little hit of squeeze of lemon, and I think maybe just that finishing touch of a bit of extra virgin. Guys, I'm really impressed with what we've seen. I feel like we're in a really good place, and I'm very excited to see how it rolls out over the coming months and to see the reaction. So thank you very much for the hard work. It's great. Cheers.
No worries.
This, as an end point to this project, is a really great one. I mean, we have done so much work up to this point, and to get here and to taste the food and for it to be in such a good place, it's the payoff after a lot of hard work. With the food in a great place, it's time to meet the Virgin Atlantic senior management team and bring them up to speed.
It's not just about being better, it's about really being different. We want to give an experience to our passengers that is unlike anything that they've seen before, and it's unlike anything they would expect to have in an airline.
If you're going to change, it needs to be an overall change. It can't be just one or the other. It has to be, this is a new approach.
I think working with the likes of Donal and Eric Landlard, it allows us to sort of pull together some fresh thinking, some outside thinking, and I think that's what's going to sort of cut through and give us something entirely different that our customers have never seen before.
Look, at the core of this project, we have aimed to bring something completely different to the table for a Virgin Atlantic customer. And I think, you know, we're so right there. I can see the finish line, I can see where it needs to be, and everyone is working towards it. It's a really exciting project, and I just can't wait for people to try the food.